Next up on the I hope it's good, but list is Superman. Yep.
If it is good, the marketing team should be fired because they've done a shit job.
It has not been received very well.
Yeah, like okay, so I'm coming from this like as a normie, right? Like I've only seen, so I saw the first Superman with Christopher Reeves, liked that. I watched the one in, was it 2006, Superman Returns, and then there's the Henry Cavill ones, right? They're not all, the Reeves one was the best one. But watching that first trailer, it felt like there was way too much going on, and as just like a like average audience member coming at this, not a fan, I was pretty turned off by it for that reason. There's no through line, and it's not, the trailer isn't trying to set any sort of foundation in terms of tone or what it might explore. It's just throwing a bunch of things at me and hoping some of them will get me interested enough to want to go see it in the summer. That's just where, so I have no interest in this.
I was hoping for a hopeful Superman. And as far as even the presentation, I feel like the colors are almost Zack Snyder-esque. They're a little brighter, like a little more vibrant than his muted color palettes he normally goes with, but it still gives off it's not a hopeful color scheme.
Cartoonish.
So the cinematographer from The Flash,
which is
it is, yeah.
It is, yes. Yeah.
So when he said that film was actually the greatest film he'd ever seen, he meant that literally because he hired the guy.
It's one of those cases where the best case scenario is that he was lying, and it might actually be that he wasn't lying. He genuinely thought The Flash was good.
You're a horrible liar, James.
You know what they should have done instead of this movie? They should have saved like $100 million and like keep a small budget and bring back Tom Welling, the guy that everybody loved from Smallville, and actually give that guy a movie of some kind and see what's left there. Because I'm not a Superman fan, but I was a Smallville fan. I did like that show, and I would check out. And if you got a big opportunity, I would check it out, and I feel like a lot of people would. And if they can actually tell a good story. Look, people were happy to see Michael Keaton in The Flash just because they love him. I think Tom Welling could have had a little piece of that.
All 108 people that saw The Flash were very happy to see Michael Keaton in The Flash.
What do you mean? 107, man? Come on.
People love seeing him suicide bomb a Kryptonian ship for nothing.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was a mess, that final battle. This one though is probably the one that I would anticipate doing the best of the ones we've seen so far. I don't think it'll do absolute gangbusters. It's not going to hit 1 billion. I would say it will do well enough to say 700 million-ish, and I think they will consider that perfectly acceptable. I would trust James Gunn as well to have a... James Gunn kind of knows what the audience's general mood is most of the time. Like, he's quite good at hitting the lowbrow, relatively populist, but popular kind of beats. Not necessarily very deep, but usually quite charming and reasonably funny, and I think quite optimistic, which would be my read for the way these trailers will go. The first one wanted to establish that we're beginning from a low point, but that means, of course, you're leading toward some great triumph, which will probably come in the final trailer. So I would say this one will do okay, would be my guess.
Do you think it's going to be basically the Batman, where it earns 700 million? A lot of people like it, but rewatching it, it didn't really do so well.
I can see that. It'd be almost like Guardians 3 as well, in the sense that they came out, did pretty well, certainly by comparison with everything around it, and everyone who watched it said it was fun. And then you sort of don't talk about it ever again because it wasn't that good. It will be something along those lines.
Platoon, would you say your expectations of the movie are based around strictly it being James Gunn? Or is there anything else that you're, in terms of thinking it's going to be good? Is it mainly because it's a Gunn film? Like, you just have.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's going to be good. I just think it's going to be good enough for them.
And is that the reason? Would you say?
I would say it's a large part of the reason. Yeah.
All-Star Superman is its basis, and that's the one everyone knows. I'm not a huge Superman fan, but it's the book I know, and that's the hopeful Superman. That's the archetype you probably should be following, or that version of him. So that gives me some hope. And then, the trailer comes out and it's not hitting quite right, and then the teaser is that's really not hitting quite right. So just like F4, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hoping it's good. And I bet 700 million, they would love that number, because I think of it as like Batman Begins. It's like Batman Begins was an apology
Yes.
And it didn't make a ton of money at first at the box office, but they were happy with the number because that's the, trying to get the audience back number. And then the follow up, The Dark Knight, that hits $1 billion, and that's a fucking mega success.
Batman
And so-
Begins, I think that's my most underrated superhero movie. It does. Dark Knight gets all the credit, but
It does.
Batman Begins is where it all began. I think it's the better Batman movie too.
That's the best of that trilogy. I would agree with you, Jedi.
Batman Begins is unbelievably underrated.
Yeah, you couldn't have Dark Knight without it.
With a BagFace take right now. So my bar of judgment is always, have my parents seen the trailer and do they tell me about the trailer? And my parents both told me like, wow, a new Superman movie. I'm very excited to go see that. And to me, that's usually like, it will cross $900 million. And I think anything over 600, they'll probably be pretty pleased with, because he kept the budget like really low for this movie. I think it was under 150 million for this, which is pretty good for like a launching of a cinematic superhero universe that's like unheard of.
Definitely.
Almost. So
Didn't he say,
I feel like it's good.
Didn't he say it was? Someone said it was 300 million, and he called them a liar. Then they showed him the tax returns, and he went, "Oh, someone must have filed it wrong."
Ooh.
I think for like reporting around movie budgets is so tough, especially something like Captain America 4, because a lot of studios, they're going to push the budget way higher than it should be, and they get so many tax breaks on it that it's like, what do you call the budget? Like, do you call it 300 million, or do you call it 150 if you got $150 million tax break off of it? I would say call it 150, because you're only paying $150 million out of the studio technically, but I don't know.
I guess, but you still have to spend that money. Like, a tax break doesn't mean shit. I still spent the fucking money. So a tax break is just, it, like with Doctor Strange 2, it was reported that it was $200 million, and then years later, after court documents, because of whatever X, Y, and Z, it revealed that it cost $400 million fucking dollars.
That wouldn't surprise me. All the CG in that movie.
Dang.
So
It also, I
who
think,
knows?
is recycling
that
jokes, because in this one he says Crypto isn't a good boy until that scene where he drags him, and that is very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where Cosmo is not a good boy until the very end, where they have that obvious payoff.
James Gunn's making the same movie again? I'm shocked.
Yeah,
Truly.
with the same tricks, man. Like the cutesy animals from Groot to the animals in the Guardian 3. Like he knows what he's doing when it comes to that side. Because this.
Do you think they'll torture an animal in this movie too to get the
no animal torture in this movie, probably not. A little bit more chill. That doggo's definitely gonna have some serious plot armor. He's not getting a scratch on that nose, no way. But I don't know. I'm not particularly excited for it. I'm curious though. I'll be watching just to see what happens.
But the DC universe is fucked, because they say Peacemaker is chronological, which Jason Momoa is Aquaman, but he's also going to be Lobo in Supergirl.
At least we know what universe they're in, dude. Like, come on. Compared to like Marvel, where like, oh man.
But
I'd say they're in a better.
The Zack Snyder shit is still canon, but then it also isn't.
Right. Yeah.
Multiverses. There you go.
Isn't Jason Momoa playing a new character though?
No, it's
He's
Lobo.
playing Lobo, but he's saying Peacemaker, where Jason Momoa showed up as Aquaman, is there.
It's all
So he's two different fucking characters.
It's all fucked.
Maybe we'll get a joke in a future film about that.